everyone, welcome back to Cardvoyant. I'm Kris and I'm your Cardvoyant, and I'm back here today with another one card reading and also some more Jacob's Journal material. Couple things I will say is just to let you know about the one card readings. When I'm doing the one card readings, I'm actually asking my guides and whoever's sort of globally looking out for us during this time to just offer some information, some advice about what it might help us to know at this time, what it might be good for us to know, what we might need to know at this time. Um, and that's very specific to what we're going through, hopefully, and hopefully it's helpful. But with the Jacob's Journal material, and as I said, I'm new to this. It's one of those things that I kind of felt sort of coming on for a while, or that I thought that I would eventually be able to do, but it's only been within the last month or so that it's really been coming forward with what feels like to me like a lot of speed and almost urgency. But in general, it's material that is more general. It's not necessarily specific to the times that we're living in, or meant to specifically get us through this time. Although I do think, everything helps. Everything is helpful, and that connection, just feeling, that connection is helpful to us. But I feel like this will go on long beyond the pandemic situation that we're in. And I also feel like eventually I'll be better able to organize it. For now, I'm just giving to you the stuff that comes to me as it comes. And I can see how some of it like relates to each other, and then I can see how other parts of it is, it's like topical, just here's a topic, and I think it'll be added to as it goes forward and as more of it comes out. But until there's sort of a more specific structure that I feel to it, I'm just going to offer the material as it comes to me. So I've got 3 pieces that have come to me over the past several days. And usually what happens is in meditation, I will start hearing phrases, often just like a sentence to begin with, and then that's when I start writing, and then it evolves from there. So, and then it feels like a last sentence. When a last sentence comes through, it feels like, well, that's the end of this, and then I just conclude with that. Um, so let's start today with this one card reading and see what the message is for today, and hopefully it proves helpful. So let me turn this camera so you can see what's going on here, and we'll go from there. Well, this is an interesting card to get. A great card, obviously. This Four of Wands is an awesome card. You see it there. Um, as you can see, the celebration here, I mean, I'll often get this card in general when I'm giving personal readings, when it talks about weddings or reunions of some kind, is definitely celebration and definitely having to do with family. But you can see in the card the figures with the sort of raised garland that they have, and it's sort of in victory and celebration and happiness. And you can see also the 4 wands that support this other garland, this expansive garland that again talks about like this walking through of these wands that lead us to this celebration, and also just denote it, notice that it's our notice that it's happening. And so here's the thing about this card that's kind of amazing, because in this particular case, when I was trying to connect and asking my questions, and what I would usually ask in like a broad topic like this is like what I need to know or what we need to know, what's good for us to know and what it'd help us to know. But this particular time, I also was asking like anything that you can tell us, any kind of like timeline, anything. Now, the wands are so much about creative energy. They're often about things we're passionate about, our creativity, the arts sometimes. They're often about entrepreneurial things, new beginnings, new ventures. And this four card is, four cards are interesting because they're lower, right in the deck, so they haven't gotten to the 10 card, and yet they're often these cards of real information, key information. And I feel like here we've got this amazing card of celebration and of happiness and of, the sort of like pastoral beauty, and you can see our homes in the background and our families, families around us and so forth. And I really feel like the message is here is sort of, it's a hang in there message for sure, but it's also this message of real hope. I mean, this is a celebration card, and we're talking about celebrations and creativity in new beginnings. And when I'm talking creativity in this particular case, I think I'm talking about sort of scientific creativity. I think this speaks very much about what's going on in the world to get a handle on this virus, and it's celebratory because it's coming. And I feel like it comes in stages, but the actual stage that we're talking about here is not necessarily the loosening of social distancing or social restrictions. It's rather a celebration of of medical science, because I feel like this is talking about the creativity, the passionate dedication of people to bring about, at first and in stages, treatments, like an understanding of what's happening with the virus. Like it's almost like a sudden realization of, oh, I get it. This is how it plays out, and this is why this happens, and this happens, and this happens. It's like understanding the minuteness that brings about all these, really um, desperate and horrible sort of situations physically, and therefore affects all of us, societally. But it talks about that kind of understanding, and this ways then to understand how to treat it, like a lot of different treatments that really are able to sort of get this um, controlled in a more controlled way. And so that there's a little bit less fear because of this understanding, and also just such hope, that the hope that, I mean, there's so many people, older people with pre-existing conditions that have this fear justified that if they get the virus, they're not going to be able to fight it off. It's like AIDS was a few decades ago, that if you got it, it felt like a death sentence. And here it's that fear for everyone, but especially for certain people, that's the fear, and it's terrifying to people. So this idea of being able to just treat it, and somewhat individualized, like, if it invades this part of your body more, or if you have this certain pre-existing condition, we understand this kind of treatment, this kind of treatment, this kind of treatment. And it feels like, yeah, I have felt before around this, the number 4 comes up again here with the 4 of Wands. And I kind of thought that was a combination of 4 different drugs, but it may be 4 types of treatment, or it's something like that. There may be 4 countries involved, or 4 labs involved, or something like that. But there is this notion of 4s helping to sort of get control over it. And with that control comes a new confidence in being able to open society back up in the sense that we're able to associate with each other again. Certain things, stores and those kind of things, social distancing won't be as big of a thing. In fact, we will will so welcome the opportunity to be close to each other and appreciate it like never before, and certainly in our lifetimes. So it speaks about all of that, and the thing about going back to normal is not even a way to look at this, because so many things will have changed. The way that we do certain things will have changed. So it's not an idea of going back to normal. It's sort of going back to better, and also going back to being together. So those are big things. And while this is happening, this Four of Wands and this kind of energy, this passionate discovery energy, this dedication to cure, there's also a feeling that in the background a little bit further is, and again, a reason for celebration, the idea of a vaccine. And I feel like the vaccine that's developed for this will help in the future. I know my sister Kim has mentioned helping with other diseases, but I also feel that this will help with other viruses, other corona type viruses that come in the future, where there's a better ability to narrow it down quickly and address it quickly, so that we don't necessarily, hopefully, never have a huge pandemic situation as we do now. So very good card. I mean, it's so happy. And I mean, what else can we want? That idea that, that it's coming to this happy conclusion, despite the great deal of mourning that we have yet to go through and are still experiencing, and that many, many people will feel for the rest of their lives, for what has been lost, for the people that we've lost, for the lives that we've lost, and the loved ones that we've lost. And yet there's great hope. So that's a fantastic card. I'll tell you, it's a card I never would have expected to get, but it's very great, and it's makes me happy that we can talk about that it can even be, because we've talked about sort of like dealing with stuff, and this is something that is allows us to have hope. So that's a great thing. So I've got my Jacob's journal stuff here, my little book that I take down these crazy notes with. But again, I've written them out. We do have them posted on the website now. The ones that I'm doing today will be posted hopefully by tomorrow sometime. So whenever you're seeing this, if you're watching when it first comes out tomorrow, sometime in the future, they should be on my website, cardvoyant.com, which is also where you can book a private reading if you would like to. But hopefully they're there so that you can, copy and paste them, print them out, anything that you want to do, just look it over. Sometimes it's nice to just actually see the words. So with that, I'm going to do these in the order that I received them. And again, like I said, maybe you'll see, how they weave together. But I'm just going strictly by when I received them now. So this first entry came a few days ago. As I think I mentioned, received them while in meditation. And let me just start with this. What does it mean to be safe? What is it man seeks when he seeks safety? When you ask for safety, what you're calling for, yearning for, is a lack of fear. Fear oppresses you on all levels. It denies you and confines you. Fear lies to you and intimidates you and leaves you voiceless. Worse than voiceless, it leaves you with a song caught in your throat, an unexpressed aria of joy. This fear stems from the forgetting of physical birth and the beautiful and necessary and brutally honest confines and constructs of your physical body here in the earthly physical reality. The undeniable energy and energetic connection, that most natural aspect of the non-physical you, is no longer visible, no longer elemental to your existence, your beingness. This is why a human infant so yearns for, is desperate for, and indeed requires as a necessary component of survival, human touch. Newly ushered into the stark and alarmingly isolated and individual physical world, the newborn desperately craves, nay, requires immediate and near constant touch to recreate the connection, the unity of the sphere from which it has so recently come. These new arrivals could not, cannot survive cut off, alone, adrift. Such overwhelming aloneness, though an illusion of the flesh, would and has and does engender a fear that is humanly unbearable. And yet, even with loving touch and support, and especially in cases where such connection is minimal or at worst, or worse, untrustworthy, their fear, this seeming desperate danger of alone, leave many feeling lost, alone, unsafe, and thus the drive to feel safe in both healthy and understandable ways. And yet, sadly, more often in desperate, destructive ways, underlies so many of the individual and group pain you are now experiencing, and throughout your history as a modern culture have and continue to experience. And I felt that there would be more coming on this particular topic. So hopefully we'll address that again. It was sort of difficult bringing that forward because I kept seeing images, sort of more so than words. So I was trying to get down what the images were trying to express, and then sometimes the word would feel right, and then sometimes I'd have to stop and find the right word. But there's that one. This next one, again, received just a couple of days ago. Release yourself from the wasted energy of judgment. Protect yourself and those within the scope of your responsibility, especially those whose earthly existences currently push at and at times explode to manifest forms of hurt and violence. But understand that within the universe, that is to say, the all that is, there is no first and no last. There comes understanding, but not punishment as you perceive it. There can be sorrow, painful recognition, but always it is coupled with loving guidance. No one fails. There is a path of love, and always you are encouraged onto it. For some, that path becomes covered in the trappings, the realness of the physical world, and they all too willingly ignore that which is laid before them, always attainable. Many veer from this path, and yet it underlies their intention, even when intentions are at times lost and all too often subjugated by momentary pleasures and the promise of more or better. Happiness comes in many forms. Pleasures are for your taking. Never, however, when they hurt or destroy another. For there is no happiness to be found in the sorrow of others, no matter how you try to distance yourself from the inevitable conclusion of your actions. Your own joy is intricately connected to the joy of others within the scope and sphere of your influence and lives. Your love and joy are amplified exponentially when shared, nurtured, protected. Man is that he might have joy. As there is no perfection, you are asked, instructed to simply grow in this direction. Keep a foot, at least one, on the path of love. This is your pathway to joy and joy in the all that is. I feel really badly when I don't read them as well as I feel like I should, because they're important, I feel, messages, and you know, they come to me in a very specific way. So I want to try and convey that, and sometimes I'm not that great at it. But hopefully, as I said, you can go and read these if that is helpful to you, and hopefully it is. That's why we're putting them up on the website. So this is the last one for today. And with this one, I almost got like a title, and that's what I put at the top of this. It just says, guide and soothe us. Our animals guide and soothe us, are examples to us, fill our empty spaces that appear as lonesome or sterile, unfeeling, empty rooms, but in reality, echo and mimic the silent cold and yearning spaces of our hearts. The spaces in between our bodies and our souls, the corridor spaces. Animals fill these long hallways, bridge gaps in the juxtaposition that defines itself by emphasizing the contrast between the physical and the non-physical. Our animals share with us their obvious physical loving natures, while at the same time unmasking their obvious link to and portion of the divine. Therefore, we are brought to believe in, to be unable to deny the shared space that is truly, actually the manifestation of the totality of the all that is. We are bonded to them as they are to each other, as we all are bound together in our physical creaturehood and eternal beingness and portional entirety. The individual oneness that encompasses us all, the smallest particle within and the greatest manifestation without the all that is. Men's hearts fail them in many ways. For some, they beat with strength but without feeling. For others, they swell to the point of bursting, overwhelmed by the saga and sorrow of being. Mankind's heart finds balance only when it transcends its physical self to connect and confide in its eternal self, everlasting being, energy self. You are born connected, intrinsically involved with the self you cannot see with physical eyes, but you trust it is there, and thus you are complete. So your speech, your thoughts, your voice flows both inward and outward. For in your early years, the physical world demands limited attention, maximum wonder, but minimal demands. As the world demands more of your body, your vision, your very structure, you too often lose inner focus and come to immerse yourself in all that is tangible, beautifully tangible. This physical earth is for you to work and play with and explore, dense with thick beauty and sensations of all kinds. But the physical world and your bonds with your fellow men and women and children and animals and all of nature become so much less than it could be when you lose touch with the whole of you and with us. We who would and happily will lovingly guide you to ease your grief, your sorrow, your pain. Share your burdens you need not shoulder alone, and enlighten you in ways that offer progress in degrees and on levels you cannot yet comprehend, or indeed have not yet been willing to consider. And thus you remain caught in a kind of loop, a self-imposed repeating pattern of greed and power that leads to hatred, bigotry, unkindness, inequality, violence, neglect, hunger and thirst in all their forms. Still, light always shines, and we are always here. Love cannot be denied, and always there are those bathed in its soothing waters. Always the found outnumber the lost. The dawn always comes, and the days grow longer. Summer reappears, and winter is never an inevitability. Light equals lightness. So that was another one that was just so vivid, not only in words this time, but also in imagery. So I hope that I brought it across in the way that it was meant to be brought across. So there you have it for this video. I hope that the messages are helpful. I hope that the one card reading was helpful, because it was unexpectedly very happy and hopeful. So that's a great thing. If you, again, go to my website, cardvoyant.com, you can see the written forms of Jacob's Journal, and also book a reading if that's something that you're interested in. There's plenty of other tutorial videos and other of these types of videos, Psychic Sister videos, on this YouTube channel that I also hope you'll check out, and I hope you'll subscribe, tell your friends, all that kind of stuff if you would like to. I, of course, appreciate all of that. So until next time, take care of yourself, please. Take care of each other, please. And I'll just say bye for now.